welcome to the show.
This guy got a mistletoe belt on.
Gosh, that is bad.
The whole plane smells like weed.
Those were the days. It's a joke, you idiot.
Looked in the mirror, I'm like,
Good old innocent fun. Welcome back, everybody, to Troublemakers, the podcast where each week we bring on a guest and they tell crazy stories about their lives. I'm your host, Dylan Krasinski, coming to you from a beautiful day in Astoria, Queens. With me, as always, is my enigmatic co-host, my number two, the man with the plan, the big dog, Mr. Ray Zawodni.
Oh, thank you so much, Dylan. And more importantly than thanking you, I want to thank everybody that's been checking us out on YouTube, checking out the full video episodes, as well as the shorts and the reels you see all over social media. Also, thank you so much to our audio listeners if you're out there on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can do us a huge favor if you're out there. Make sure to leave us a rating and or a review. If you're going to leave us a rating, we do ask 5 stars. Nothing less. I monitor that pretty frequently, so if I do see that there is a rating out there that is anything less than 5 stars, so help me God, I am going to come to your house. I am going to tie up you and your family and take all of your cell phones and make sure that I hit the subscribe button on not only our podcast, but the podcast of all of our guests. Hit subscribe on all of our comedian friends' individual YouTubes, as well as purchase tickets to my comedy album recording this Friday at Soul Jules. So I'm going to do all of that on your phone. So just hit a 5-star rating and you won't have to deal with that. Anywho, we got a very special guest on the podcast today. So happy that he came to join us, everybody. The hilarious Anthony DeVito.
Oh, thank you, man. What a dead giveaway to know that you guys have listeners, but not that many. You clearly acquired enough group of people to have ratings, but not so much where you could make a detailed threat to the general public, and it's fine. That was amazing. My God, you might as well mention them by full name.
Well, I used to give out Dylan's old address.
Oh, dude, he did that the week before I moved. He gave out my address, and he's like, come to, I forget that, 115 Cooper Street, and I'll be waiting there. And I'm like, no, that's my address.
Yeah, I challenge people to fights all the time, and it's fake. I don't want to fight anybody.
No, of course.
You know.
Yeah, but in court, they'll be like, "You said this, and it was recorded."
I think I have a lot of things on this podcast that could be brought up in court.
Oh, dude, God forbid one of our listeners ends up like in some kind of murder situation where they like get tied up and die. Oh my God, they're coming right to you, buddy.
I know. I always think that will happen eventually, and I'm shocked it hasn't happened yet, where some podcast host has to show up to trial to be like, you encouraged this man to murder his wife because of your bullshit advice show. You're just desperately trying to get a laugh in the moment. You're like, I don't know, fucking kill her.
Yeah. And they're doing like country accents. It's not even their real voice. It was a character.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, you're like, Your Honor, but I was playing Rooster T. Cowboy. He hold him accountable, not me.
There's a 16-episode backlog of Rooster T. Cowboy. You could listen to it.
They're playing it for the jury.
He has his own lawyer. It's just your podcast host in character too.
Well, Your Honor, I would like to interject because Rooster T. Cowboy,
I didn't do it.
He says he didn't do it.
He's a chicken. He's but a chicken who's a rooster. He can't be held accountable in this court. Try him in animal court. Why don't you? Yeah, we did that on our podcast for years. Where like early on, because early on you just never know. You don't. Yeah. And especially if you're, I don't know how you guys are, but I assume somewhat of the same ilk of like when you don't believe in yourself at all, you don't expect to ever have people that would be fans of yours.
Always.
Sure. Yeah.
So like very early on in Greg and Brendan and mine's old podcast, the Rad Dude Cast, we gave out our phone number immediately. Just like immediately. Because we thought like, hilarious. And then for every 6 months, I will get a phone call often during a very inopportune time in my life that I just go, okay, I'll pick up the phone from anybody because, you're just like, well, who could it be? And my life, as much as I love my life and I'm content with it, it's pretty boring. I'm a 41-year-old married man, so I'm like, adventure's right around the corner in my head. So I'll just pick up for anybody, and then inevitably it'll be a voice on the other end that just goes, Anthony? Is this really you? And I'm like, you bet your ass it is. What's up? And then immediately they go, oh, I didn't expect it to be you. So keep on trucking or whatever. And it's
And
always.
it still happens even after the podcast
Every
is over.
6 months this happens.
This is great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Dude.
Wait, you must not be in a lot of debt because you're willing to answer phone numbers you don't know.
No, I'm not in a. My mom is in a lot of debt, which has turned my life upside down.
Oh, okay.
But I've fought like hell to not be in debt.
Okay.
That's good.
For the both of us.
That's good.
Yeah,
dude.
and I think we're finally in an okay place. The last 4 to 5 years of my life has been a living hell.
The only way that debt collectors can get to me is if they call me from a number that is like a back home number, or if they call me.
Pennsylvania.
This is so,
Right. Wow.
this
it's
is so
sneaky,
humiliating.
man.
If they
it's okay.
if they call me from a Hollywood, California number,
Of course.
because even though nothing is going on in my career, I'm still like.
Definitely.
Hollywood's
They
calling.
saw. They finally saw.
They
They saw a
figured it
reel.
out.
They saw a
Yeah.
short. And I'm in, man.
That one reel did get 4,000 views. So
And they were all agents.
It's actually William from William Morris.
and I just pick it up. I'm like, Hollywood, this is an attempt to collect the debt.
Damn it!
That's funny. Have you ever done that as a bit? That's very funny.
No.
Yeah, I think that's a good bit. Yeah, because you don't know, because it is such a crazy. Because I remember, and sorry if I'm just
No, this is the
long-winded.
game, man.
Right. But so the first ever TV thing I did was Adam Devine's house party, right? So Josh Johnson, they had booked Josh Johnson to do it. We all know Josh, comic, writer, done a lot of things. But they, so we were leaving as a new crop was coming in, and they were like, hey, have you guys seen Josh? And we never really met him, but knew of him. So I was like, that's weird. Like, I feel like I didn't see him. And like the person, they were like, oh, he's right over there. And you're like, I don't know, man. That doesn't look like the guy I've seen. And then it turned out they just booked the wrong Josh Johnson. There was another Josh Johnson who's done like, I don't know, a couple open mics in Texas. And then all of a sudden was doing a Comedy Central television.
Holy shit!
So I get that.
How the fuck does that happen? That's
We work in a very crazy business.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And at that level, it's not you matter so much less than you think you do, even at that level. You know what I mean?
Even for TV, they're just
even
like,
for
we
TV.
got the right guy.
Exactly. They
It's
didn't even
fine.
fact check once.
did
They
he
just,
did he look anything like Josh Johnson?
No, I believe a whole different race. I could be wrong here, and I could be wrong, but I believe I really think this person was doing open mics for a year in maybe Dallas or Houston, and then all of a sudden Comedy Central calls them and they're like, how would you like to be on television? And they were probably like, I knew that's how it works. I knew it.
Hollywood's calling.
Totally.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. So, but, so obviously, subsequently, like and not, Josh has gotten so much, it's all his merit, but like Comedy Central is like, well, we really got to make it up to this guy because this is insane.
Do you know if this new Josh ended up doing the show?
He did do the show because at that point, I mean, he was flown to Hawaii, given a hotel room, like all of these things are in motion. So yeah, I mean, and what a nightmare for him to be like, I guess I have to like trot out my best.
I wonder
Like,
how he did.
Oh my
I think he
god.
probably did okay. I mean, it's a hot crowd. It's a television taping. They don't know any different. And if you can survive for 6 to 8 minutes, especially if you're going first,
Yeah.
then it's fine because there's no bellwether against you. So like, man, but I get that's why I completely understand you being like, it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna change my name to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I start getting opportunities.
Yeah.
I
Ever
love
since
it
he's
if-
gone by Beth Stelling. It's
Crazy.
skyrocket for Dylan.
My career. It's unbelievable.
I'd love it if he went up there doing like on a TV taping, doing the most like your first jokes that every comic does.
yeah.
You know, where he goes up there, he's like, your first time doing comedy is a lot like your first time having sex. There's
Yeah.
Only this time there's less laughter.
He's just doing gay Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
Hey, imagine if Tony Soprano was gay.
Yeah. And then Christopher Walken shows up.
Dude, that's always my favorite comedy like type of bit is the forced impression premise.
I love it. Yes.
It's the best.
Yes.
Dude. Where they're just like, hey, wouldn't it be crazy if Arnold Schwarzenegger was a barista? And then they have like a whole thing of like,
Here's your coffee.
yeah, it's like, where the fuck did that? What?
Would you like a latte?
I wish that would come back. There's some parts of
Good.
like there's so much of comedy now which is just, and I feel like it's gonna be saturated, which I'm pretty happy about, of where you're just like, it's just shocking. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like so many people now, like a punchline is just like, say the worst thing humanly possible, and we think that's awesome. Yeah. So I do long for the days where it was more whimsical, where it was just like a dream you would have that you would describe to someone, where you would just be like, and Jack Nicholson was there, and like my mom was there with a gun, and like nothing added up. There's like a surrealism to that I think I would really enjoy. It seems, I don't know, I would like that now in the face of like a lot of what I'm seeing. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. I feel like that's been the last few years. It's probably, I mean, you could say back when Louis kind of changed it all.
Yeah.
And then everyone was just doing, but I've seen a lot of that too. It's just people say the craziest shit ever. It's like, and then I got my 5th abortion. And everyone's like, fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's great because you're like, yeah, he did it because he's like a generational talent.
Yeah.
Like he approached it with like a lot of craft and art. Like he was just like, all right, how can I say these things but in a way that's like palatable but still funny? And he's like maybe, arguably, one of the best to ever do it. So it's like, you're not, probably. And at least not right now. Maybe you will be in 20 years, but you're doing it 4 years and you're just like, I think I can make Gaza funny. And it's like, probably not.
Most likely not.
Most likely not. I'm happy to hear anybody out.
This crowd's going to love my jerk off bit. We got to get in there.
And it's just a bunch of people in the crowd being like, yes. And you're like, none of this is good. This is all horrible.
Well, there's like 30-year veteran comedians who are hilarious that are like, I'm not touching Gaza.
Yeah,
I'm not
course.
I can't make that funny.
I can't make that funny. Yeah, one man in the history of comedy could pull this off. Yeah. So you think you might be able to do it after 4 days at the creek? It's insanity.
Dude, that did change. That is crazy when something happens and you don't have a joke about it, but you have another joke. One of our buddies had a joke where he talks about Jewish people. Yeah, it's a very funny joke, and it's not like bad at all. But like when that whole thing happened, he was doing that joke, and dude, it was like the next night at the and the crowd was just like, No, we don't want fucking any of that.
Yeah, and I'm all for ambition. I'm a victim of it too. I've tried them, you know what I mean? And like I will keep doing it. It's just when it's so pervasive that you're like, man, I'd love for a guy who's just like, and Milton Berle was there. Like it's just that's fucking it seems so fun to me now.
I remember doing I wrote like right when I moved to New York, I wrote this joke about like feeling bad for cops in NYPD because they.
I'm sure that'll play great in Brooklyn.
But my joke was literally just that
they're like siding with Bin Laden now.
Yeah. What did you do 9/11?
Well, that's the joke was
gone wild.
It was silly. It was like they went into this thinking they were going to be John McClane, and all they're doing is arguing with a halal guy to move his truck.
That's
it's
funny.
not what they signed up for.
That's very funny.
But then like all of the cops started doing their thing, on the news, right?
What they do?
Name their names.
Well, they weren't. The public were not fans of them, and I
they were getting a little naughty.
Why did I
get a little naughty?
They were being mad boys.
Why did I just end up at a deposition? And then I tried doing the joke one more time after all that shit happened, and it was like, "Fuck you! What do you mean?" I'm like, I'm done. Put that on the shelf.
Right, it's like I just came from a Black Lives Matter rally. You ever feel bad for the police officers? You know what I mean?
They get a real bad rap.
Just standing for so long.
You're like, my feet hurt from marching. I'm sure their feet hurt from like chasing black people. So like let's, we're all the same.
Oh, dude. Oh, dude, going back to when you said you gave your phone number out, that reminded me of, remember when we invited people? We were like, we're going to go to Hooters in New York City. Come on out. We weren't allowed to go. It's a long story, but we were not allowed to go.
What do you mean? What?
Why are you gonna bring this up?
I'm sorry, dude. I realized it as I was telling it, but
I never heard it.
we were gonna go to Hooters, and we told people, and I still think about to this day if people showed up and they were like, "Where's Dylan and Ray? What the fuck?" We ended up not going.
I see.
Yeah.
So you told all your fans you're going to be at Hooters. That's a great joke.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, and then you don't show up, and then they become friends with each other.
Yeah.
In my head, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, we were like, we're going to go to
hilarious.
Hooters, and if we show up, it'll be a great time. We'll all hang out, watch the games. If not, you're just at Hooters, which is also great.
Yeah.
That's also fun.
Totally.
Or there's just the 3 people who actually took my threats seriously. And
Right.
I cannot wait to kick the shit out of this dude.
Yeah, they
I
come-
seen what he looks like. I will fuck him up.
Can you imagine
I'm
giving a
armed.
podcast 1 star and then traveling across the country to be like, I'm going to this meetup. I'm going to this meetup to kick Ray's ass.
So did anyone show up?
I have no idea. We didn't go.
Oh, really?
We didn't go.
No,
wish
I know,
we
but did
didn't go.
anyone message you that they were there? or
No,
anything?
which makes me think nobody came.
Yeah. That's all right then. Yeah, no, I think
This was months ago. I don't even, like September maybe.
That's fine. It's always good to just get a bellwether.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah.
and not, Hooters isn't everybody's back. You
true.
know, so it might not be that like no one's out there listening. It just could be they're anti-Hooters.
That's true. There are a few.
There are people that are anti-Hooters for sure.
Yeah.
There are definitely people.
Because I wonder too with Hooters, because Hooters now feel like when we were, because we're someone around the same age. Yeah. So like when Hooters, it's crazy that Hooters think about the inception of Hooters now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Like back then, it was like, you got the Man Show going on. You got Hooters. You're like, it's a high time for just like objectifying women. I'm not this guy at all, but I'm just like, this is a fun time. The '80s, '90s was a good time.
Good
Like,
food.
Hooters now is crazy.
It didn't age well.
Hooters
did not age well.
No. Oh.
But it's still cracking.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
man.
going
Still
on.
good.
Oh, for sure.
They got a couple on Long Island,
Yeah, Hooters picked its spots very well.
They did.
Very, very
It's
well.
weird that in the biggest city in the world, there's only one Hooters.
Yeah, well, of course.
So you go to Long Island, there's like 50 of them.
Of course,
Jersey,
man. Oh, there's 100 Hooters. Edmonton, it's all Hooters.
all Hooters.
They got them in hospitals there. But of course, like the cultural epicenter of the world,
Yeah.
they're like, we gotta not have Hooters.
We got to stay away from Hooters.
Yeah. Put
gonna
them
be a
all
problem.
on Long Island.
We have one. It's in Times Square. It's everyone from Long Island coming in, being
Yeah.
like, "I got to get a Times Square Hooters shirt. I gotta do it."
Oh yeah, man. We used to do that. I mean, I grew up in North Jersey. Like we go to the Hard
Yeah.
Rock, a Hard Rock. Like my family, this I could tell. My family. We had more Hard Rock from Anywhere shirts than like anything else. Like I don't think, man, that was like the big thing. Was like we got to go to Cancun. They got a Hard Rock there. We got to get a shirt.
You know what's embarrassing? I went to Aruba with my family,
Yeah.
and we had dinner, and across the street was a Hooters. We didn't even eat there, but I went in to buy a
Yeah.
Hooters Aruba T-shirt.
Totally.
I still have it. It's in my
Yes.
room.
Oh, you didn't actually go to that Hooters?
I walked in,
Oh.
and I looked around, and I was like, "Can I buy a T-shirt?" And they were like, "Do you want a table?" And I was like, "No, just a T-shirt, please. Thank you." It's great.
Nah,
They have more than just like there was one called like the Tilted Kilt in Pittsburgh that like when the Hooters shut down that popped up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the same exact
Yes.
business
The
model.
tilted kilt.
yes.
But it was plaid.
Yeah. They had one. There was when that was. Because Hooters opened the door, like I think when like they were like, "Hey, we can do this. Like we
Yeah.
could just have women in bikinis like serve chicken wings. Like cool." There was one in Jersey. It was called Sports Sexy Cafe, where it was just like
In Jersey.
It was awesome, man. And it was like you know what I mean? Until inevitably after 6 months, like it just didn't last.
Yeah.
But Jersey is always like, it didn't last as a business because of like arson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was never like, oh, it was like a bad business. It was like, no, this was like a racketeering
Yeah,
front
they were
gone awry.
They were funneling money
Yeah.
somewhere else.
But yeah, it was just women. It was just women named Angela in just like crazy skin tight referee outfits. Just
Hilarious.
It was I think I went there as a kid.
Oh, dude, I went to Hooters with my family once when we were in I was 12 maybe,
Yeah,
13, and we were on one of those road trips down south. We went to Hooters for lunch, and I'll never forget this. It was I was like, this is great, but I was also uncomfortable because
Yes.
my mom and dad are there.
Yeah.
At one point, I swear to God, my mom goes, "So Dylan, what is your type of woman?" And then I was like, this is uncomfortable for everybody.
Let me call Michelle back over here. Are you more of a butt man or a boob man?
So do you like the blondes, the brunettes? That poster with all of them lined up.
I love the idea. It was just like, we're gonna force puberty on him tonight. He's going through it by 7 o'clock.
I'm like, yeah, you know what? I like Jose, the dishwasher, in the back. And they're like, okay, well, this was a failed experiment.
This is what we were afraid of. This is why we...
I guess we're going to actually have to put up the money for conversion therapy instead of just a trip to Hooters. We thought that would fix it.
Oh,
Right.
damn.
Meanwhile, you're like, it's always one person. You're like, my Italian teacher, because she looks me in the eye a lot.
Oh, dude.
Well, I've talked about it. My dad used to take me to Hooters all the time, and he would sit me on when I was probably 8, you know, and he would always be like, make sure you sit into the booth, you know, and he's like, can I get some coloring stuff out in front of you? Try to get them to color with you. So he'd get they'd sit across from me, and he would just look down their shirt and hang out and have a bunch of beers.
That's Ray's dad.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, my uncle, I think he was too much of a drunk to be a pervert. Where it was,
Nothing worked down there.
Yeah. Well, that, and I think is he was more he was the kind of drunk with animosity towards women that he might go to Hooters to be I'm just gonna get hammered and call them pigs. He was beyond attraction at that point. He was just so angry at whatever happened in his life.
He's calling the waitress the same name as his ex-wife.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck you, Judy.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, look at this, another Bev. And you're like, you're married to my aunt. This is horrible. Yeah, no. I would go to I would go to bars with him all the time. He was kind of the only male for a long period of my life. He was only because I was raised by all women, and he was the only guy around. So, and he was one of these guys. He literally could have been an NBA basketball player. He was a touted All-American out of college, heavily recruited, and just kind of fucked up his life. And so he never got over that, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But then, went the other way where he was just an angry, not all the time, but he was just a drunk because to deal with that, and we all felt the brunt of it. But long story short, we would go to bars all the time, and it would just be him and his misfit friends, and I would just be there placing bets for bookies. And
Were you a kid?
yeah, oh yeah. No, I was
Yes.
super young, and I was so into sports, so I would, sort of help out. But man, it was a wild environment to spend your Saturdays and Sundays.
Dude, that was my childhood growing up.
Yeah.
It was so weird how back then it was so normal.
Totally.
I would see other little kids running
Yes.
around too. I had my little I had my school friends, my neighborhood friends, and my bar friends.
That's so funny. Yeah, totally, man. 100%. Yes.
Yeah, it's very different today when you see kids in a bar. We had it was my birthday a month ago, and we had a little party at Rocky's up the street.
Oh, man.
And my nieces came,
Man.
and it was great time.
Yeah,
great
yeah.
time. But definitely when it got darker, I was like, oh yeah, it's time for the girls to go home. I think.
Rocky McBride's. I mean, the name alone, you're like, that's a fucked up. Whoever Rocky McBride is as a person, that is a man with felony charges.
Oh, he's committed some crimes.
There's no senator named Rocky McBride.
Yet there's no huge pussy named Rocky. You know what I mean?
That's very true, man. Yeah.
There's no
Yes.
Rocky got his ass kicked again. No, he didn't. Or he came back with a blade.
Yeah, Rocky's not
Very true.
I can't go out. I got to finish my homework.
Yeah, yeah, man. Naming a kid Rocky, that is a fate you're sealing. And I'm not one for that, but god damn it, I've never known. You're right, man. There's no authors named Rocky.
There's only one guy I can think of named Rocky,
Yeah.
and he's pretty violent.
Yeah, well, there's I could think of two. There's Rocky Balboa, Rocky Marciano. There's Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Who was Rocky?
That
and
Rocky was.
Was he a good guy?
That Rocky was kind of a pussy. He was
Yeah.
like a little squirrel.
I thought he was. Oh, Bullwinkle was the moose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we found one.
But it's
That's one out of a million.
cartoon
One
squirrel.
guy.
Yeah.
It's not even, you know.
And he could probably still fight. I bet. I, think
I
he'd
bet,
beat people up.
yeah. Squirrels are pretty scrappy.
They, especially in Astoria.
Oh yeah. These are queen squirrels.
Yeah.
These are
yeah.
They're
almost
very-
rats. They're almost rats.
Is that a known thing? Like a Queens thing?
Dude, have you ever seen the black squirrels?
Oh, yeah.
I've only seen them in Queens, and I'm like, you're having sex with a rat. That's the only way a black squirrel comes about.
Dude, they'll like get
Yeah,
in my fucking
you fucked
face.
a driveway. Yeah, man. I remember my girlfriend in college. She brought home a squirrel. She was like a real. I don't know. The best way I can describe her is, you remember Jodie Foster and Nell? Just like a real, like a woodland, like I could talk to the woods kind of a person.
Didn't work out?
No, it didn't work out. Yeah. Broke my heart, left me devastated. One of those people where you're not with us on Earth, so you must hold the secrets to Earth, you know? Like,
Yeah, okay.
like you ever meet someone so depressed where you're like, you must be interesting, but then you're like, oh no, you're just like vapid and sad.
Yeah.
You know? But there was an injured squirrel on campus, and she brought it home one day. Man, and she just kept it in a shoebox in the dorm room. And like, a squirrel is not a dorm room. It's an outside person. That is not an indoor person. Squirrels are they're a menace, man. You think they're so cute? They're running around the trees, running around each other. Man, you put them within four walls, and they'll tear that shit. They'll tear shit up.
Dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How did she get rid of it?
We drove it to a park in Miami. And just like released it in a Miami park, which is like worse. You know, it like had a home on campus. It was just injured. So she decided to take it in. And then we thought the right thing to do was to just release it in some park. Dude.
Was it one of those things where you weren't, like, you were so into her that like
course.
she could have done anything?
Anything.
Yeah.
And we owned a hamster.
Yeah.
Because of her.
You're like, I'm definitely
God,
afraid of
dude.
hamsters, but yeah.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where you're just like, I'll do anything for you. So suddenly you're like, I'll wear a puka shell necklace. Always look good on me. I wanted to be that guy.
I spent 6 months in the rainforest for her.
Yeah.
You're
yes.
Jason Segel in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Nice hat.
Yeah, because when you're younger.
Thank you. My girlfriend got it for me.
100%.
You look like a douchebag. All right.
Yeah. When you're younger, you have no self-worth, you know, and like you're just like, well, whoever you want me to be, I'll be, and that you'll
do it.
My identity is I'm your boyfriend, you know?
Yeah.
So the issue with that is once they leave you, you're like, well, I'm not a person anymore.
Oh, sad, dude.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't even like squirrels.
Yeah.
What the fuck I'm gonna do?
Yeah, dude, she changed you so much. You're just rescuing squirrels around Miami. You're like, come on, you to be closer to her.
Last time we talked, you went to Miami during like the coolest time you could ever go to Miami.
Yeah, 2000 to 2005. So that was the height of when, the football team was like, they were like an NFL team at that point.
God damn.
Yeah.
They had like McGahee, Frank Gore.
Yep.
Ray, were you there for Ray Lewis? Or
I wasn't
just
there
after?
for Ray Lewis. So my freshman year was Clinton Portis and Santana Moss. That was kind of my freshman year. I'm trying to think of maybe some of the other players. But then as maybe like sophomore, junior, it gets muddy, but then it's like Sean Taylor, Jonathan Vilma, McGahee, Frank Gore.
Reggie Wayne, maybe? Before or
Reggie
after?
Wayne might have been my freshman year, but Andre Johnson, Dorsey,
yeah.
DJ Williams, just Antrell Roll, just this litany of
That's
NFL
crazy.
players. I used to Vince Wilfork.
Yeah.
So like McGahee, because they would just be around, there's so many of them, they're just around. And like McGahee would always get so much chicken at Chartwell's, which was our dining hall. And I would always be so mad because he would just get all this chicken. So much chicken. Sorry, and that's not a racial thing.
No.
That was just he's going to be an NFL running back. So they were like, we'll give him all of the food, and then you guys can have the scraps of what's left over. Man, he would get so much stir fry. They would get so much care and attention. But I would because I would play basketball, and like I'm a good basketball player, much more so then than I am now.
Yeah.
But so I would play a lot in the wellness center, and these guys would always be there. So like I used to watch. I think it was Vince Wilfork's kid. Like I would sit, I would just sit on the sidelines with his like infant son in between games before like getting into games. And my roommate also was someone who tutored the football players.
Oh,
I mean, she's not going to listen to this, but like I remember, I'm trying to think, Brandon Merriweather. So she backed Brandon Merriweather, and
hell yeah,
yeah.
dude.
But I would. Like she was around them. These are like good for her. Get your rocks off.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? These are like these are athletes. Like see what that's about. But I would sit with them in our kitchen until they would go to the bedroom and make love to her. And they all knew me as like they would just be like. They would be like, oh, yeah.
You were like the receptionist for her vagina.
Oh, you Janet's roommate.
Yes. They would be like,
She'll be with you in just a moment. Yeah.
Just check in, fill out the paperwork, and she'll be right out.
Your 4 o'clock's here. Yeah.
Want a coffee, tea, a little water? Okay.
Yeah,
We want to be hydrated.
We are running so behind today.
She's been drinking water all day. You better keep up. You got to hydrate.
You're like super stressed.
yeah. Right. I have like a headset in.
Fill out the clipboard and then come up. Okay? Come up when the clipboard is filled out.
Yeah, I'm just calling them up like, hey, her 6 o'clock just canceled. So if you're in the area, she's available right now.
We can squeeze you in right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Janet, he thinks we accept walk-ins.
Cookies? So, yeah, no, I would sit with them pre or post and watch Arrested Development with them.
That's great.
So I would always like picture them in the locker room being like, oh yeah, you ever like hang out with Alexandria? And be like, oh, of course. You're like, and Anthony, what a cool guy. You sit, you watch the show. It's like a lot of fun. Like it's a whole package,
Or they were probably like, what's up with her weird boyfriend watching Arrested Development and just letting us bang her?
Right. What's up with her cuck lover?
How come he never comes in the room? I wouldn't mind. I kind of like her.
I do remember one time, and this was Brandon Merriweather, and I had met him before, so like it was like we friendly relationship, but there was a condom just on our living room table, and I was like, I wasn't really mad, but I was like being fake mad. I was like, whatever cornerback's condom this is needs to get out here right now and explain themselves. So it was like a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was used.
Yeah.
Used. Oh yeah, that thing was slimy.
You're like, I did not know they roll back this far. What is going on?
Yeah, from what I understand, a hook penis on him. That was the big allure of. That was
Brandon Merriweather?
The big draw with him was a hooked cock.
Wow. Dude. I love that your fantasy is like, I bet they're talking about me in the locker room.
Yeah, right.
What a cool guy.
Yeah, what an idiot I am. I'm like, I bet they're bringing me up right now and not focusing on the thing they came for.
I was telling him all kinds of facts about David Cross when we were watching Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I know we got Florida State in like an hour, but
the
what do you think
B-plot on
Anthony's
that
doing?
show, wow, he really explains the nuance of comedy, which is something we all want to hear.
Honestly, the pussy's fine, but Anthony's just a good hang. That's the only reason I go over there.
Yeah, man. I didn't get Act 2, but then through Anthony's words, I really understand the pathos of the show. It was a lot of fun, man.
Oh, damn. That must be cool. I mean, I went to a small school. It was Division I. I went to Siena near Albany.
Oh, sure.
And I remember how well the basketball players were treated because we were good those years that I was there. Now they stink.
Yeah.
I think they haven't won a game all season. But like we went to the tournament twice when I was there, and dude, they would get treated so just like gods on this campus. Like they had cars that the school gave them. They had running accounts at all these restaurants.
Yeah.
I could never imagine, like Ray went to West Virginia and then Miami. Like what was were they just treated like gods around
Yeah, I've never
the town?
Yes.
I don't
mean,
think they went to class.
No, they didn't. I mean, they never carried a book. I never saw them once with a book.
Yeah.
I did have this guy. I don't know if he played in the NFL. He was highly recruited. This guy, Eric Winston, he was an offensive tackle at the time. But so I was an architecture major, and then I had to pick a minor. So architecture was a very demanding and serious major, and I knew I wanted to do comedy, but so I just was a theater minor. So we had one. I remember he took like a real shine to me because it was like a bunch of theater kids that were like not really funny but attempting to be funny. And like I think there was like one exercise where it was like, hey, what's something in the bedroom like that could be a funny thing? And like someone was like handcuffs and everybody laughed. And I was like, a nightstick. And like nobody, it bombed hard because I was like, no, because you would shove it in there and like that, and like he like fell on the floor laughing. So he was like, you, like, you know, he was just like, you and me, we're partners. So he would be my scene partner for everything. And he ruled the roost so much that like the teacher couldn't tell us anything. So like he would be like, okay, for this scene you're gonna do like Neil Simon, and he'd be like, nah. And like he'd be like, we're just gonna like improvise.
Yeah.
Like
we're doing New Jack City.
We're doing Scarface. Ever heard of it?
He was just like this big dude from like enormous man from Lubbock, Texas, who like they couldn't say anything to. So just like just allowed us to kind of run rickshaw like through like the whole thing. But yeah, no, they were gods. Like they were never seen him carry a book. Never, even if, and that's what I guess that's my point of the story. It was like if they went to class, they were the class. It didn't matter, you know.
So can you imagine just spending your life becoming like a tenured professor at a prestigious university, and then just having an 18-year-old kid be like, yeah, we're not doing that today.
Yeah, because I think this guy's funny. Like literally that's all it was. Like two people who did not, he dedicated his life to this art, and there are people in here earnestly trying to do this, and then one guy who's just trying to just alleviate some stress from a life in architecture, and a football player who's like, I think the weird kid's funny, so we now own the class. It was awesome.
That's so good.
But yeah, no, and I remember graduation. I almost threw up on intro roll. I remember that. It was the drunkest I've ever been in my life. Like because we stayed up all night partying for graduation. Graduation was in the morning. Intro roll was sitting directly in front of me, and I was so nervous because I like, you know that feeling when you're just like, I'm probably gonna throw up.
Yeah.
Like where you're like, you're just like, you know, you're channeling everything you've ever heard in like Eastern medicine to just stop your body from doing.
And you're trying not to think about throwing up, and then everything is just pointing to throwing up.
Exactly. There's so much noise. There's so much this. There's pressure. Your family's there, whatever. And Altra was sitting right in front of me, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up all. It didn't, and it like I think it probably got as close as like the middle of my throat or like my collarbone or whatever. But like I was pretty like they're gonna have to stop this graduation because I'm about to throw up on a lottery pick.
Dude, that would have been awesome.
I know.
He would have definitely talked about you.
Yes. Yeah.
But instead, now you can only wonder that he, enjoyed season 2 of Arrested Development.
Hilarious, man.
Yeah, the parties in Miami had to be so fucking fun.
They were
pool parties and shit.
Yeah, I unfortunately I wasn't. I wish I was a part of that. It was.
That was so sad.
So sad. It is because that's what everyone's like. Oh my god, Miami those years, and I'm like, yeah, I was just locked in an architecture studio.
Oh, dude,
being like the work of Mies van der Rohe. Like I wasn't privy to a lot of it. That's not to say I still did, but I partied with my architecture friends.
Yeah.
So we were going to like kind of like art-y sort of like parties and nights and stuff like that.
You were just getting blacked out on wine.
Yeah.
I bet that
who cares?
I wouldn't think too much into it. I bet those parties were just as fun as the pool parties with future NFL players. I mean, I wouldn't, if I was going to list my regrets, I wouldn't put that even in the top 50. I bet those were good.
No. They were, man, equally as good. Just sitting around a bunch of performance artists.
Honestly, I bet
talking about Frasier.
Better.
Meanwhile, around the corner, they're like, and we got a special guest at this frat party, Snoop Dogg. Get out here.
Yeah, me and my friend Connor at open mic poetry nights doing characters.
That was true. That happened.
It actually was. No, it was. That's 100% true. I'm not sure that we did character. I don't even think we ever got up as much as, but it was fun because Miami's such a weird place. Like Miami's like one of the. Miami's a place where I think my friend Connor said this best, where it's like you can have a job there you can't have anywhere else, where you're just like, oh, I'm a yacht manager. Like, and you're like, what does that mean? You're like, I just like, man, it's honestly like people spend money there as if money has an expiration date. We're like, we have to get rid of this shit. So it's a weird place. So they did have, and they have more so now, but they had a very small like art sort of alternative scene. So there was and that was fun because like there was no they didn't really have anyone watching them. So we would go to this bar called Churchill's for their open mic poetry night, and we would just get drunk in the back and just watch these freaks. It was the best. It was good. Like, it's like when I started comedy in New York, I would just go to the Eastville open mic, and like it was awesome because now it would just be people wandering in. If you had $5 and you could wander in from the streets, it's like my favorite joke I've ever heard, and I still say this with no irony, as it was just me and another just East Village lunatic. And it was just, I did my set and he was in the audience. He went up and now I'm the audience. And he did 4 minutes on a government conspiracy theory about NASA. And it was just like, it was impassioned and it was all over the place and he had beats and points. And then at the very end, he goes, that's why I didn't like the movie Armageddon. I was like, if you're self-aware, that's the best joke I've ever heard in my life. Yeah.
And if you're not, still pretty decent.
It's still pretty good.
Still pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember the first time me and when me and Colin moved to New York together, and we went to our first New York open mic, which I kind of knew a little of when I came to visit like years and years before, which I went to the Eastville. Are you talking about the Eastville that was the old New York Comedy Club?
Yes.
The new York Comedy Club.
Yes, yeah.
But we went to one, and there was one of those crazy dudes, and I remember like he didn't stop talking for like didn't take a pause, and everything. The only 2 words that we could hear was motherfucker and Trump. And he would just like he was like motherfucker Trump motherfucker Trump motherfucker this motherfucker wants Trump in a motherfucker, and I was like, oh my god. And me and everybody else is just like, oh, this is Leon, he comes to this every week, like he's annoying, we just want to do our time. And me and Colin are fucking eyes watering in our face, we're crying, we're punching each other. It's the best. But then you get so desensitized to fucking open
because
comedy.
New York open mics are the only place where just anybody can get on stage, and it doesn't matter. You could be someone who's been on TV, who's like working on their next special, and then just like the homeless guy who was like, I'm just trying to get warm for a little bit. Now you're forced to listen to me.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I would like much rather listen to that. Because I'd rather take a journey through the mind of a lunatic than just like someone who's just like, I get some pedestrian ideas. No, I remember there was one mic, it was a feedback mic at Eastville, and Nate Bargatze went up, and it was a time where real comedy nerds knew who Nate was. He'd done Conan, maybe a couple other things, not too much, but but then there's the bulk of the room didn't. And Nate's a pretty soft-spoken guy, if at an open mic too, so I remember like their feedback was like, oh, you should just like have more confidence up there. And like, he's like, oh, this guy was on TV like a week ago. And he's like, I'll keep that in mind or whatever. And then you have a guy that goes up and he's just like, the government is after our brain cells. And you're like, what are you going to say to him? But no, when I first started because I started doing improv before stand-up, and Greg and myself used to go to this like improv open mic, which is a whole different thing. So I remember we showed up once, and there was this guy who was watching a video of a guy who was just oiled. He was just like the way a snake is, where you're just like they have a film covering them. Yeah. And he just had gold pants on in the video, and he was just kind of dancing around a Sade. And then the more that we looked closer, it was him. He was watching his own video. And then it turned out that his name, and you can look him up, he's a guy named David Hester Bay. Turned out he was Jennifer Aniston's stalker. And Greg and I didn't know anybody there, and it was a 3-on-3 improv thing. So he was our partner.
You two in DHB?
Yeah, us and DHB. And it was the best improv I've ever been a part of because he would just say crazy things and we would just justify all of it. And it just seemed like this genius scene was coming together. Like he would just be like, there's not enough black people at the zoo. And we would be like, oh, God, these segregated zoos. Like, we really have to do something about this. And, like, Greg would be like, as the president of zoo. And, like an interesting scene would develop because he was just going off. And then there was this other guy who, and because, Greg and I'm always so interested in just like the fringes of society.
Yeah,
I just think
man.
They have so much more to offer than we do in some ways, So there was this guy named Gowie, who was like, he was clearly mentally challenged. He's been in stuff. He was in like a 30 Rock episode, Kimmy Schmidt, and he was just like a staple there. And no one would want to partner with these guys because they would ruin scenes. But Greg and I saw this as like, no, they're making everyone. If you can just play it right, they're making your life easier. So Greg and I, it was only 3-person improv, but they allowed us to do 4, and it was David. It was DHB. Gowie, and me and Greg, and we were the Pasta Twins. We would just do these wild fucking improv scenes, and it was so fun and weird. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So good.
So was his name Gowie?
Because of his voice, he would say it as Gowie. So I don't think anyone felt comfortable calling him Gary. Because you're like, well, I mean, he wants to be called Gowie. So everyone would call him Gowie.
I think it's just Gary.
I didn't put that together. I was like, what an interesting name, Gowie.
No.
his name's Gary.
His voice, and then everyone was too polite to be like, you're Gary. You say it wrong because of your brain. So everyone was like, you're Gowie, I guess.
He's like, he just keeps being like, no, it's Gowie.
Yeah.
And you're like, Gowie. And he's like, no, Gowie. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
They used to
so good.
There was a kid in school that they used to pick on so bad that had like, not only did he have the R's thing that he couldn't do, but he also had like the S's too.
Oh man, yeah.
Like, what's up, Wig? And it was fucked up, man. And like, and I went to like a predominantly black high school.
Yeah.
So I went to school with the funniest human beings on the planet, and they did not give him a pass.
Yeah, right.
And would just ask him they'd be like, hey man, say this. They kept giving him scripts. And they had him going like, boo boo buttle biscuit. And like just saying like the wildest shit, man.
Oh man.
When they found out how he said ear, it was the best shit ever.
How do you say it?
Right.
Eel. It was fucked up, man.
Yeah, but kids just aren't. You're not ready for.
No.
Now you go like, all right, like this is gonna ruin a person's life, and you understand the complications or whatever. But kids just aren't ready for it. So it's just like, oh my god, what a jackpot! This is great.
There was nothing worse than like when you would go to school wearing like an outfit or with like a new like hair thing and like thinking like you felt cool. You're like, this is the cool shit. And then literally walking in the door, they'd be like, oh, Zawodni got a box now. He's running around with a box on his head. All right, kid, and play. And I was like, fuck. I'm gonna wear hats for a week.
Yeah, man. And then later on you become an adult and you're like, well, I can't be open with anyone because I'm traumatized.
I gotta hide this forever.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
My own family was that way. I remember the one thing that I think I brought this up before. The one thing that I wanted for Christmas one year was a Terminator leather jacket. It was all I wanted.
Yeah.
Like my parents had to fucking pitch in to buy this expensive ass jacket.
Right.
I put it on Christmas morning. I'm in like 2nd grade, mind you. And my older brother and sister made fun of me so bad that I never wore it again.
Oh, that's terrible. That makes me so sad.
Well, yeah, like family, Italian family where I grew up, Jersey, 90s, very similar. I mean, I was an only child, but like any effort outside of the box effort was like, oh man, you were really like, you were going to get trounced for that.
Yeah.
There was no, like, if you were just like, I think I kind of like that thing that nobody else likes, they would be like, whoa. And you're like, I'm 11.
Give me a brick.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. No, man. I remember when years.
We got to bring him to Hooters. I don't know.
They're like, we got to take our nephew down. It's a wild mindset. But I remember like when I started doing comedy, like later on, like they were so befuddled. They were just like, we didn't even know you were funny. It's like, that's insane. You know, like
That's the most Italian thing I've ever heard.
Oh, you think you're funny now?
yeah,
oh, okay. You're a funny guy over here.
My uncle, well, there was one point where he was like, I think I've been doing comedy. I don't know. I was like almost close to being on television, It was like kind of, making my way. Clearly, I had done maybe Montreal, at that point. Like all signs were pointing to like, this is going to be his life and he should be doing this. And he was like, and he goes, you still doing comedy? And I was like, still, are you? And he goes, all right, I got a joke for you. And it was just the N-word. It was not, it was I just come out and say it. And I was like, what else? And he was like, that's it. Like, and I was like, I don't think that. He was like, you don't know comedy.
Yeah. Trust me, guys. Trust me. All right?
Yeah.
Dude, in the right room, might kill.
Oh, totally. Well, he's not off, man.
Might kill.
Uncle Vinny's, when I'm sweating on that stage, and I'm like, he would have been right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm crazy. Yeah.
They would have loved it. I fucked up. I missed an opportunity. Yeah. Oh man. Were you are you a drinker? Still a drinker?
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
I've slowed down quite a bit just because you get older and my body just can't handle it. But like, I was a pretty good clip. I would say. I mean, that's the nice thing. You do comedy in New York. Your 20s and 30s. You have like people are real alcoholics.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, I'm fine.
Oh yeah. I've seen those. You see those when you're just like, oh, you just hang out here and drink every night and don't go on stage. Okay.
Yeah. I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine. Yeah.
I'll drink. Okay, good. Yeah. Oh, I'm out till 4 a.m. once every 2 weeks. Okay, that's fair. That's fine.
Yeah. Then you have like friends who are just like, I just keep getting robbed on the train. You're just like, oh yeah, that's the thing.
My pockets keep getting cut. I don't understand. What is that? It's like, hey man, stop falling asleep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're like, I gotta buy different jeans. Like they don't put it together.
Steel pocket jeans. Like, that's really what I need.
It's a good thing I wasn't here in my 20s.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I'm like I still am, but like when I was actually drinking
Ray's
heavily.
like, I used to be a big drinker.
No, a blackout.
Oh, yeah.
You like blackout, like because I've been like pretty fucked up on the subway in my 30s, and I'm like, this is dangerous, man.
Yes. I was the one that comes to mind that's like for me when I was in not to be whatever, but like I had friends who they worked in architecture. They were working in Miami. That office had an office in Paris. They moved to Paris. They were They were like, you could sleep on our floor for next to nothing, and if you want to live here. So for about a year in my like early to mid 20s, I lived in Paris. And,
oh shit,
that's awesome.
And I had nothing. I worked at a bar under the table at this like college that had an exchange program with NYU. So it was this like crazy year in my life where I had like no ties, no nothing, no responsibility. So I was just out. I was just out every night and I became friends with like a lot of the kids who went to the bar. We were pretty close in age. And it was like the cool bar. It was the first time in my life. Yeah. Where like I was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're a bunch of college nerds. I'm just 2 years older than them and I'm the bartender. So I'm cool. It's crazy. I never had this experience. So I would go out with the college kids a lot, and I had, and especially when you're an American overseas, you get so you can go one or two ways. You can be meek or you can be fucking American.
Oh,
it really grants you this. I used to walk around Paris like in defiance in sweatpants and a New York Giants Super Bowl sweatshirt, just like as like if you want to hate us, you're gonna hate you're gonna hate us.
Yeah, dude.
You know. So I would just go to bars.
American.
Yeah. And I would just get fucking hammered, and I really made it a habit of like I would just get hammered and take my pants off. That was my big move at a bar. I would just be like, I'm gonna live forever. And I remember I was on the metro. I had just done my
party trick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm on the metro the next day, and this guy that I'd never met him before, this just young French dude comes up to me. He's like, I seen you. I gotta take her pants off. Take her pants off at the bar. And I can't do the accent very well.
Spanish guy moved to France.
So and I was like, you were at the bar last night. He was like, oh no. Like he was like talking. He was talking about another time. Like that's how often I was doing this. Where he was like, "No, I wasn't there last night. I'm talking about November." Yeah. So that was I had a good run.
I like that reputation though.
That is fun, man.
That's why you were wearing sweatpants. It was just easy to yank right
I
off.
would drop them four beers. I drop them right off, and I am screaming DMX, and I am saying the N-word.
Shut them down, open up shop. Now, nobody else knows what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not even a fucking jukebox in here. What is he doing? There's a. Dude, are you a boxer or a briefs guy then?
I now am a briefs guy.
Yeah, you gotta be.
I think then I'm trying to think. I probably was half and half.
Okay.
I was a tighty whitey guy for so long because I didn't know any.
Excuse me?
Yeah, for a
Wait
long
a second.
time.
Stop it. In your 20s?
I think I still had a couple in my 20s. I don't think I was fully a briefs guy then. I think I still had a couple. I had a couple pairs, and I think when you're a guy, you're just like, well, whatever's given to me, I have. You know, you're not seeking out others.
I kind of dig it, bro, because
White tighty whities, just straight white.
I'm sure. Yeah, maybe a couple colors in the mix, but like
I remember, this is funny, when I came to visit New York for the first time ever, I was probably like 26, 27, and I forgot to bring, like, had like one pair of underwear with me. I bought some underwear at a random store, and I take them back to my friend's place I was staying with, and I was like, holy shit, these are just regular like tighty whitey briefs. I don't wear these. I was like, but maybe I've reached that age.
Yeah.
And I put these fuckers on, and I walked around in like the New York summer, and they were just digging and scratching and clawing. It was the most uncomfortable situation of my life.
Thighs are just grating each other.
Brutal.
I don't know how my father did it for all those years.
Yeah.
Because that's like I don't know when the age is that I...
Well, I think for a certain amount of time, being a man meant enduring pain at all costs. That's what it was, you know?
It's got
every component.
Why are you so miserable? Because I'm fucking strangling my balls. That's why. All right?
I'm wearing
Move it along.
Yeah.
Each of my boots is 15 pounds each. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, you're like, why don't you have a daiquiri? You're like, no. That would taste too good.
No, we'll do whiskey, but no water.
Great.
You like that? No, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, man.
That's
like,
the point.
A poet in the 50s is a factory worker in the 2000s.
Yeah.
You know? It's like every man was fucking miserable.
Dude, there's gotta be. I would love to ask women about this. It would have to be the biggest turnoff if you're about to hook up with a guy for the first time, and then he's just takes his pants off and he's got tighty whities on.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a worse ick for a woman.
Yeah.
Really? I think the opposite.
Really?
I think it shows just some... Well, if she's taking the pants off, yeah, that's a problem. Like, you know,
Yeah,
she pulls
yeah,
it up,
yeah.
slides it off, and you got your little tighty whites, like a little boy getting, you know, his mom putting his pajamas on. But
Yeah.
I mean,
You're getting sixth grade flashbacks being like in gym. Oh,
if he fucking drops it, his fucking, you know, his drops his jeans like Anthony in Paris, and fucking has on some just tighty whites and is owning them.
tighty white.
Yeah.
Maybe his skull pin rolls out of his pocket when he pulls his pants down.
Dude, I'm pretty sure the only people keeping tighty whities in business right now are people with like mental disorders.
Yeah. It is a...
You don't think your dad's rocking tighty whites, Dylan?
No, I got him on MeUndies.
Oh,
I got them on those briefs. They're the most
yeah.
comfortable underwear
Yeah.
ever. Not a sponsor, but you know, hey,
No,
you
totally.
know,
They
they're
do
the
seem
best.
great.
I'm wearing them right now.
That's
Yeah.
weird that you and your dad wear the same underwear.
I got them on. I was like, you gotta get, you know, it's tighty whities. You gotta.
Well, tighty whities, they're a young and old. Like there's a
Children
period in
and
your life
grandpas.
where you can do it.
And people with Down
yeah,
syndrome.
it's like- yeah. It's like 0 to 12, and then like 4, maybe 50 and above. You're fine. But there's a big gap where you can't do it.
Dude, the thing that like ripped about my dad is he would just wear them like
Right.
didn't care who saw, fucking fat ass crack hanging out.
Yeah. God. There is a man of a certain age where it was just like, man, there's just...
I think it screams confidence.
Yeah, I think now it does because they're universally looked at as horrific.
Yeah.
But I think even putting any emphasis into like looking good as a man was like, that guy's got a little sugar.
Yeah.
Shoes.
What's the funny? I've heard a lot of like funny of those like he got a little sugar.
Yeah.
Or somebody I heard, the one I heard most recently was he's a song and dance man.
Song and dance man, I love.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love song and dance. That's another thing that's like a vestige that I hate to see go. I get why it's got to go, you know what I mean? But it's like, I just love the idea of like, that guy pets the monkey. Like just it doesn't,
He's a little light in the loafers.
Hey, he likes to smoke the peace pipe.
Yeah,
Hey, whatever.
He eats dry cereal. Like where it just like doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're just like, man, how many euphemisms for gay people did you guys have? Like, was everybody gay?
Are you a Sopranos guy?
I am. I'm not a huge. I love the show. I've only seen it once because I know there are people that are like, I've watched it 400 times and I know every word. So I can only say like I'm a fan, but I'm not like an obsessive.
There is a scene that makes me laugh hysterically. Where they find out that the character Vito is gay.
Oh yeah, that
and they're
great.
all going around and they're saying all kinds of different. They're like,
It's great.
You mean to tell me Vito's a Ricky-O? What are you talking about?
Maybe you're a flambe.
Yeah, they're flambe. There's just all these different words.
Right. That scene's so funny because you're like, that's a SNL sketch that they just dropped into this, like, maybe one of the best television shows of all time.
You're going to look at me right now and tell me that he's a fanook. And it's like, what the fuck? How many words in Italian slang are there for gay? Which seems kind of gay.
Yeah, that is the thing. Like Italian slang has so many slang terms for gay or other races. That you're like it's the bulk of the language.
Yeah,
it's really nuts.
It's all slurs.
It's almost all slurs.
It's all slurs.
It's a slur-based language.
You're looking at an Italian dictionary and you're just like, hey man, this is all slurs.
Yeah,
These are all things I can't say today.
Exactly. There should be one for each. So the fact that you would have to consult a dictionary to be like, hang on, I got to know if that meant a gay person or a black person because there's a million of them. It's like how some cultures are like, oh, we have 100 words for happiness.
Yeah.
It's like Italians focused on that. Dude, like, it's so wild.
There was an ice cream and like hot dog stand where my mom grew up, and for the longest time, it was called, when I was a kid, this is what we called it, and they still call it this. And I don't even know if this used to be the name. I'm not going to say it because Shane Gillis got fired from SNL for saying it.
Yeah.
But that was the name of the place, right?
Yeah.
We all know. I called it that my entire childhood.
of
It was
course.
like, hey, we're going down to there to get some. I found out when I was an adult, like 16, I was like, oh, the place is called Bonanzas.
Yeah.
That's not even the name of the place.
Of course,
I was like, where did this come from? And my mom's like, oh, it's your grandfather. That's just what they called it.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God.
Well, my mom is like a sweet, like loving lady, like not a hateful person at all. And the one day she was like, oh, you know that lady? She works at blah blah blah. She has that Dykes haircut. And I was like, Ma, you can't say that. She was like, what? She was like, oh no, like a dyke, like a lesbian woman. And I was like, Ma, it's a slur for them. It's not. She's like, oh, it was like everything just shattered in her head. She was like, wow, that's why fucking Janine at work doesn't talk to me. Like she just didn't know. She thought it was like, like you'd be like, that guy's gay, that woman's a dyke.
Yes.
Like it's not like, but it's like, I was like, that's the mean thing. And she's like, oh, all right. Well, I guess I got to figure that out. I called my sister and me. I was like, hey, do you know this about Mom? She was like, all right.
Right, because they're going off of like, well, we just point blank said that.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, we decided enough people said that with hate in their voice that it like ruined their lives. So like, we don't anymore. They're just going off the old information. Like, you get older, you just don't do the updates.
Yeah, dude, I can't imagine in like 30 years.
Yeah.
Keeps ignoring the human update.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, dude. All the things that we say now,
Yeah.
in 30 years, people are going to be like, whoa,
Totally.
whoa.
100%. People are going to be
can't
like,
say
you
gay."
You can't say Italian.
That is.
We're getting canceled for this podcast in 15 years. They're like, they said Italian like 6 times. Well, the one guy is Italian. Nah, not the right Italian.
It
Okay.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
Doesn't
So
count.
now we're on inflection. You know what I mean? Like they'll be on a thing we can't even comprehend. It's like, yeah, that's just what happens, And like you just go like, okay, all right. Well, if I want to be accepted in the world we live in now, I'll change. and if I don't, I'll just go to, I'll go to City Hall and protest mask mandates. I'll be that guy, you just pick your road.
You gotta decide. Either I'm gonna live in the city or I'm gonna move to Staten Island.
Right.
So
do you want to be involved with where things are headed, or you find your community and stay there where things were, and you scream and argue about bullshit.
and you go, fucking at Sunday dinner, you're like, the way things used to be.
Exactly.
Let's go back to that.
A man is a man and a woman is a woman. I don't get it.
That really, dude. You really did boil it down to what life is. Now.
That is
It is, yeah. Because the younger generation they just come along and they go, why are you doing any of this like this? Because they see everything with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And then, you sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. I don't know why I would do it this way the whole time.
Yeah.
And then other times you're like, you're going a little bit too far. But it's just a matter of like, yeah, do you want to agree with their changes, or do you want to just be like, nah, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be this guy forever. Yeah. Just like, just pick your street.
Have you ever worked a job where you get trained and then you're like, why are you doing it that way? And they're like, because this is how it's done. And then you train someone else and they're like, why do you guys do it this way? Because this is how I was trained.
Totally.
And this is how you're going to do it.
100%.
I'm not going to let this training method die.
Exactly. And like sometimes, man, they're like, yeah, all right, that makes a lot of sense. And then other times they're like, Bin Laden was misunderstood. And you're like, that might be a bridge too far.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time period that thankfully is over.
That was a wild weekend.
That was a wild weekend.
Where Bin Laden was a hero on TikTok. It was really nuts.
Gen Z was like, have you guys heard of Osama Bin Laden? We're like, yeah, we've heard of him.
Those to me, they're like heat checks from a generation.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, man, you might have been right. Like, not might have, like, you're right about trans, you're right about some things. And then they're like, also Bin Laden. You're like, yeah, man, that was just a jumper you shouldn't have taken.
Too far.
Bring
it back.
It's like when somebody makes a movie that they want to get a rated R rating and keep all the stuff they want in, so they throw some really, really vulgar stuff in to, distract them.
Yeah.
Let's throw in this Osama thing, and then we'll be able to have trans rights.
Right. It's like a fine plan.
Yeah.
If that's the blueprint, like, it's a good one. Yeah.
That's so good, dude. All right, man. Dude, we're over an hour. That flew by, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you for doing it.
For sure.
Thanks,
this will be out next Wednesday.
Okay,
so
cool.
if you want to tell people where they can find you, if you got anything coming up.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You can just follow me on Instagram at comedian Anthony DeVito. And then on there, I got all my shows listed and stuff. And then you can watch my Don't Tell special on YouTube. So just search Anthony DeVito, Don't Tell Comedy.
Hell yeah.
That's it. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Definitely check Anthony out. He's fucking hilarious. You can find me. I'm at Ray Zawodni on all social media. This Friday, Soul Joel's in Pottstown, PA. I'm recording my first album, so come on out to that if you haven't bought tickets already. Also, catch me on subscribe to the YouTube channel Ray Zawodni. Also subscribe to the Troublemakers YouTube channel, where you could catch new episodes and new shorts on the daily with me and my buddy Dylan Krasinski. Dylan.
You can follow me at Dylan Krasinski on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and at Troublemakers on all those sites. We post clips 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a week. Go follow Anthony, and we'll see you next week, baby. Good night.